Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, personal development coach, heart math practitioner, dog photographer, and entrepreneur. In this podcast, I share tools, strategies, and amazing guest interviews to help you improve your mindset and your well-being with a sprinkle of fun and probably some mention of dogs along the way. So without further ado, let's squeeze the day. Hi folks, welcome to episode 58 of the podcast. Today my guest is Devin Grindrod and we're talking about quantum manifestation, a topic I'm really excited to dive into. First up, a bit about Devin. She's a strong advocate for empowerment and whole person healing. Having begun her journey of self-development as a means to overcome trauma, she understands the importance of the mind, body, spirit, and energetic connection. Today, she's working as a Reiki master teacher, an evidential psychic medium, and a quantum healer. Her mission is to help people overcome their limiting beliefs and their trauma so they can learn to trust the wisdom of their own intuition and step into the highest version of themselves. Welcome to the podcast, Devin.
Thank you for having me, Emma. I'm excited to be here.
So I'm going to ask you to jump straight in and share exactly what quantum manifestation is.
Sure. So we've all heard about different dimensions that exist. I think there was a superhero movie with time and dimensions that just happened. Sorry, I don't follow the superhero movies, but I know that my friends talk about them a lot. So we are living right now in the third dimension where everything is tangible. And in the fifth dimension, that is where time and space kind of collapse. And so when I'm working with my clients in a healing capacity, you're able to recall events from the past, whether it was this life, past life, or generationally that was handed down to you just as easily as you're able to recall what you had for breakfast this morning, just as easily as you're able to connect out to whatever version of yourself you want in the future. And that's where the quantum multiverse comes in. So there is a possibility for anything to happen. So there is a version of you that is, I don't know if this is your dream, but there's a version of you living in Hawaii as a multimillionaire, sipping coconuts on the beach every day. And anything between what your reality is now and that one can exist. And so with quantum manifestation, what you're doing is you're taking your deepest desires and your goals in this life. And so like I help my clients with finding partners and with scaling their business, and you align with that version of yourself. And so let's say the version of yourself wants to keep going with this podcast and make 6-7 figures, whatever that number is to you. You align with that version of yourself. And you connect your timeline with that version through the quantum work, because it's essentially in the fifth dimension. Imagine, those game shows that they have like a ton of doors. And it's like, which door do you want to walk into? And so unlike the game show, you know which door, that's your goal. And so you just align yourself with that door and you go towards it and you open it. And that's quantum manifestation.
Okay, you explained that brilliantly. I was expecting it to be more complicated. So I'm curious, two things came up for me. I'm curious as to how we access this fifth dimension without the aid of a psychedelic. I've done a few big plant journeys, pretty sure I've been into the fifth dimension and many other dimensions that were quite fascinating. And for me, all jokes aside, the plant medicine, I can understand what it must be like to get into alignment with that fifth dimension version, because I've done it with the plant medicine. It seems very easy for me with a psychedelic to help me. It's harder in normal life to do that. So in a nutshell, how does one start to access that fifth dimension without necessarily taking a psychedelic?
It's very easy. It's through meditation and intentional meditation. And so in the course that I have a meditation that guides you through the manifestation process. and it connects you up to that space of yourself, because the fifth dimension is also the spirit world. And so that is where our soul resides. That's where our soul calls home. And so it's very easy and natural for us to connect up to there, which is why when you do that plant medicine, you just go straight up because you are among the spirits when you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's for another podcast. I had a very, very interesting, enlightening download the last time I did a psilocybin manifestation. Well, a psilocybin journey. But I'm going to save that for an upcoming episode.
That sounds very interesting.
It was very interesting. It was very interesting and very amusing. So you've talked about doing an intentional meditation, which is something you teach as part of your course. Why is it that we find it so difficult to have access to this higher part of ourselves in general? I think most people would possibly listen to this and think, yeah, that's really great, and I've got some really big goals, but I'm never gonna be living in Hawaii as a multimillionaire. It's too difficult. And I think there's a big jump often from where we are to where we want to be. And actually that gap is just too big. So why is it so hard for us?
So the reason for that is threefold. One, we have two components of our mind. We have our unconscious mind, which is where our beliefs are held and where our imagination is stored. And then we have our conscious mind, which is our logic and our rationality. So in what you described, I heard two of the reasons, the twofold reasons. One is because your conscious mind is saying, hey, I'm not a multimillionaire and I currently live in Australia. So that is wildly different. Like, how am I going to get from A to B? So that's your conscious mind thinking of the how. And second is what came up. I heard a little bit of limiting beliefs, which is normal. Everybody has limiting beliefs, and they can come from anywhere. Most often they come passed down from our generations, from our family, because, you know, all our family has money story, and they taught that to us unconsciously as we grow up. So if you heard things from your family like money doesn't grow on trees and we can't afford that, and so that gets into your psyche, like you start absorbing things saying, you know, I don't deserve wealth and abundance, or it's hard to make money, and we're free from all that because it's not true. And the third reason is mainstream society spends a lot of time, effort, and money convincing us that we're not powerful manifesting beings, like that we are not powerful spirit incarnates. They want us to feel downtrodden. They want us to feel that lack mentality, because then they can sell us something that would allegedly fix it. And I don't know, because you're easier to control when you're not in alignment with your soul being.
Yes, I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and we were talking about this. I think it might have been after my plant medicine journey. And really, if you can tap that place in yourself where you can align with your higher vision, it's easy. And you don't believe in all the constructs in between. And also, I think there's another piece in here about finding your own happiness within. If everybody was walking around being content and happy within, we wouldn't need to go and keep buying loads of stuff. And fundamentally, like you've said, we are sold to all the time of get this, it'll make you happy. Get this, you'll look better than this person. That'll make you happy. Get more money. Yeah. That'll make you happy. And I think it is a big problem collectively. But I think also it's very symptomatic of how unhappy a lot of people.
Absolutely. Are. Yeah. Talk to any of your friends. Anybody not have a mental illness right now? Raise your hands, because crickets.
Yeah. So you've talked about we have these subconscious beliefs that we inherit, that we learn, that we're effectively are marketed to us. You're not good enough until you have this car.
Yep.
How do we go about identifying those, and then once we've got them, shifting them? Because I think it's one thing to be mindful of the beliefs you have, but often that's not enough. We need to be able to have the power to move them and shake them loose and get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the work that I do with my clients with quantum healing. So quantum healing works by taking a subject that you want to work on. So most clients come to me for trauma healing, again, growing their business, finding a life partner. You can do it for anything. So we'll take finding a partner because that's a little bit lighter than trauma, but it's mostly what I'm working with. So finding a life partner, and you go through 6 different emotions to uncover that. So anger around not having a sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and shame. And so you switch those emotions, you find out what the root cause of that emotion is, and it always stems from some sort of wisdom where there was a pain in the moment and somebody decided to add wisdom, or somebody decided to override that wisdom with emotion. And so now you're living with anger around not finding a partner. Like, let's say, in this lifetime, or maybe something generationally passed down to you, somebody was cheated on and there was a lot of anger. And it's like, well, if I don't ever date a man or woman or whatever it is, and I just stay single and I am a strong, independent man, woman, whomever, then I will be fine in life. But that is blocking your future self from finding the love of your life because some schmuck allegedly ruined it. So you go back to that moment, you unpack the situation, and you figure out, usually it's, let me practice more discernment and let me acknowledge the red flags that I'm given, because I am a powerful, intuitive being, and I know when something feels right, and I know when something doesn't. So you take that wisdom and you come back to the present. So you heal the past, you let go of the heaviness of the emotion, and you come back to the present with that new wisdom in place. And that's how you work to shift it. And then another way is through limiting beliefs. So after you clear the emotions, we go through some limiting beliefs. And so maybe it is, I don't deserve a partner that I don't have to fix. And then you go back again and you find the moment where you decided that, you take the wisdom about it and you come back to the present. So whatever was decided for you in that moment, you shift it and you're like, actually, I deserve somebody. I'm putting in the healing work and I'm doing all of these great things for myself. I deserve somebody who's doing the exact same for them.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds a little bit like NLP timeline therapy. That's something I'm familiar with, of kind of going back and looking at a situation, and I think it's almost reframing the failure, is I'm using air quotes folks here because I'm using it as a figure of speech really, but it's learning, it's going back and getting the learning from the moment. That's the kind of opposite of the belief we've set up to protect ourselves, essentially. And then we're often working against ourselves, aren't we? We want something, but we've got this belief running. And it sounds like very, very, very powerful work to go back and shift that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of the most powerful, effective modalities that I've tried to overcome my stuff. And a lot of my clients come to me because they have tried everything, but they still feel stagnant in their healing journey. And then we go through the quantum work and they are just like, yes, this is it. And it's cleared and it's so powerful. And then I want to talk a little bit about what you mentioned back when we were talking about living in Hawaii as a millionaire. And you said, where I am today and what that is very different. And so, yeah, let's say, for instance, you make $40,000 a year and you have the aspiration of making $9 million a year. There's a smidge of a jump between that.
Tiny one.
And tiny. And so you might not have the capacity within you to make that $9 million today. We're not going to say it's never going to happen, because I don't believe that there's never something we have a capacity to not do. But you have to work on what you believe you deserve. And so let's say you're making $40 million, or rather $40,000, $40 million.
Freudian slip there. Let's make it $40 million. Go big, Devin.
We'll just keep adding zeros. So we'll take your $40,000 income today. And then within your current belief system, what do you feel like you deserve from there? Maybe it's $60,000. And so you have that for the next 12 months. And you work your butt off, you figure out how to get creative with money, with income. Maybe it's starting your own business, asking for a raise, what have you. There's a lot of creativity in money because it's just energy and frequency. And so all you have to do is align yourself to that. Easy peasy, right? No, because we have those limiting beliefs.
If it was that easy, Devin, I would be earning $40 million a year.
And you know what? Once you align yourself with that energy and frequency, once you get rid of those limiting beliefs, it is that easy. And so let's say you get to that $60,000 and you're like, oh, wow, I deserve $100,000 because I already did this jump. And then you get creative again. You figure out how to get that $100,000 in, and you do the work to clear the limiting beliefs away, because as you step up into new versions of yourself, you're going to step up into new versions of your limiting beliefs, because there has been somebody in every single one of our lives telling us that we couldn't for whatever reason. And it's usually because that person was afraid to follow their dreams because somebody told them they couldn't. And so this is where we stop that. We stop the cycles with that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's in for $40 million? I know I am. I know, it's so funny. It's such a huge amount of money. I don't know what I would do, because I don't think I could spend it fast enough with the interest I'd earn on it. But, you know, hell, then it would just keep growing. How magic is that?
Exactly.
One thing I just wanted to ask you about is, it's what I hear in what you're saying is there's an element of tuning into your somatic ceiling almost. Because I heard you say you tune into $40,000 might feel really comfortable, and kind of offering figures that you get to where your body goes, ha, no chance. And obviously it's working to shift that internal state. That's where the subconscious stuff comes in, I guess, because logically we can say, well, I deserve to earn $100,000 and I work really hard, and I know intellectually what I could do with my business or with some training, or if I got a raise. Intellectually we know all the things, but until we shift the internal stuff, I guess that's when the self-sabotage arrives.
Exactly. And so that is what the quantum work does. It shifts that internal stuff. It takes the voice that says, I don't deserve to make $100,000. And then we ask, why? Why don't you? Why don't you deserve $40 million? If Jeff Bezos deserves however many billion he has, and he has the ethics he has, why doesn't somebody with better ethics deserve the same amount of money?
Absolutely.
There's no difference.
No, when you put it like that, it just, it just seems so easy. I'm curious as to what your number one tip is that you could share with anybody listening to help them manifest a big goal, the first step. So let's say somebody is at $40,000, and I know we've been having a bit of a joke about this jump to 40 million, because that is quite a jump. Yeah. You'd have to change quite a lot there. So let's just say we've got someone who would like to double that 40,000 to make it 80,000. What would be the first step for them to take to really start to shake loose what's holding them back from doing that?
I really like visualization, and I think it helps to shape your unconscious mind, because you're also using your imagination with that as well. And so taking the goals that you have and really envisioning yourself already living that life. So whatever your dream life is, whether that is living on a farm with goats, that's my goal, or that is living on a beach in Hawaii, or, whatever your absolute dream life is, or your goal, closing your eyes and taking a moment and fully immersing yourself in a day. I want you to imagine what it would be like from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to sleep. And I want you to get detail oriented. I want you to know the feel of the sheets, the pajamas you're wearing, the feel of the mug of your morning drink in your hand, and just go through the day. What kind of car are you stepping into? What kind of partner lives in your home with you? Do you have children? Do you have pets? And really envision this. So you're immersing yourself in that. And while you're doing that, start to notice where you feel that icky feeling, because those are your limiting beliefs. If you're waking up and you're expecting to feel whatever 1,000 thread sheet Egyptian cotton, and you're like, no, I deserve Walmart clearance. Why? Nothing wrong with any of those sheets, but why don't you feel like you deserve the lusciousness and the lavishness of abundance? Because it's all energy, it's all frequency, and there's no real difference to the universe between making $40,000 and making $40 million. It's just our human constructs that are like, oh, that's actually quite a bit different.
I love that. And it's so interesting. So kind of feeling for where the ick is. And what I was thinking about when you were talking, and you want to live on a farm with goats. Now, I love goats, but I got nearly taken out by a goat one time. So I have a very healthy fear of goats. And what I was thinking about with the visualization is that when does the fear of goats is starting to kick in? Are they going to kill me today? So I might do a swap, because I love animals. I might do a swap for some sheep because they're a little bit gentler.
Yeah.
I was,
and that's the thing. Our goals are so different.
Yeah, and it's completely okay. But I have a funny story about a goat. So I enjoy goats because I'm a Capricorn, and I think there's something about the audacious naughtiness of a goat that I find very appealing. You know, they just jump on whatever they want. I'm also a photographer. I once did a photo shoot, and I was at someone's house, and they had some goats and some creatures running around, and I turned around and there was a goddamn goat on my car. And it's there.
Oh, no.
It didn't give a shit. It just jumped onto the bonnet of the car, and there it was. And I thought, you know what? I admire that quality. And another time I was at a farm sanctuary and was photographing some of the pigs in a stable. And I'm in there, and I can hear this thudding on the outside of the stable. And I look over, and there's a goat headbutting the outside of the wall. So I thought, clearly this goat is looking forward to having his photo taken. So in he comes, and the groom was helping me, and this goat's, but he's sort of behaving, and the groom stepped out for a moment. Did this goat not back up and rear up and go like he was going to charge me? You have never seen me move so fast. So I love them, but I have a very healthy respect for a billy goat that might run at me.
Well, I want the tiny goats with no horns.
Very sensible, Devin. Very sensible choice to avoid having a goat fantasy that launches into trying not to be murdered by them every day. I think that's brilliant. But thank you, all jokes aside, for sharing the visualization tool, because I think being able to get into that and really feel into what does it feel like to be in your ideal life and to have hit your goals and to be at the $40 million mark. What's the feeling? Because fundamentally, whenever we're going for a big goal, I know we would talk about how many goats will you have and what car might you drive and what might the sheets be like. But ultimately, what we're after is the feeling that amount of money would give. And I think often, I know for me, if I think about a big financial goal, it's the freedom of choice for me. It's being able to choose. And I think that is really, for me, underlies a big financial goal. Yeah, you can go and buy stuff, but and you can have stuff, but it's the prospect of being able to, for instance, book a flight and then go, I can sit wherever the hell I want on this airplane.
Exactly. And you can book any flight that you want. And that is part of my why behind my business, because I just see the destructiveness of the way that our society is set up right now. And I know that there are so many people out there with these big, beautiful hearts. And if we get those people to start collecting the abundance, then we can really shift tides. We can, more frequently support small, ethically run businesses versus these large conglomerates that are pouring pollution into the ocean every day. And that's my why. I just want the world to be a better, everybody does, and the world to be a better place. And I see that happening through the redistribution of wealth and through making or helping people believe that they deserve exactly what their dreams are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about, everything is energy and frequency. And so when you are imagining that dream life, you're connecting to that energy. You're connecting to that energy of that version of you who is already living that life. It's already happening for you on some astral plane. And all you have to do is say, that's the astral plane I live on. I'm connecting with that today.
Yeah.
And allow your beliefs to align with that. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful way to reconstruct things. So it's not that there's anything wrong with us, that you're not living that life already. You just collected these beliefs of people telling you you're not worthy of it. And we're here to call bullshit on that. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse.
You can. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, we're here to call bullshit on that because it is. And our natural state of living is in that abundant energy, that abundant frequency. And once we realign ourselves with that, I see a huge shift, not only in everybody's individual lives, but in the collective as a whole.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. And having been to Dimension 5, I can vouch for the fact that it's a space and a way of being that is, I'm trying to put it into words, really. I think this is the thing with a psychedelic experience, is one leaves and finishes the journey with a sense of interconnectedness. And I think when we realize that we are all interconnected with each other, we start to show up differently. We're kinder, we're more respectful. And I think from what I hear with the work you're doing, it's about getting the people who've got big dreams to do things that change the world, to empower them to be able to step up and have the means to get it out and reach more people. Because you're right, once we start to shift the collective with more people in a kinder, more positive, energetic state, we make different choices, and the energy of the planet changes. One of the things, I'm a heart math coach, and one of the questions that I love and what drew me to heart math was, you can ask yourself each day, what are you feeding the field? And we all have a choice as to the energy we're putting out. And what I hear with the work you're doing is you're helping people shift themselves into a better energetic state. So they put something different out. Amazing.
Exactly.
Devin, this has been a really entertaining and really enlightening conversation. So thank you for joining me today. Can you share for me where people listening can find you and connect with you online?
Yeah, of course. So I am on TikTok and Instagram, and my handles for both of those are Spiritually Balanced. And that is where I hang out most of the time.
Fabulous. I'll put that in the show notes. You've also got a freebie for folks. I'm going to put the link to that put the link in the show notes to that, but just tell us a little bit about the freebie that you're giving.
Yeah, so it's called Affirmation Mobile Wallpapers. And what that is I created wallpapers for the home screen of your phone because I saw a stat that said the average American looks at their screen about 244 times a day. And so you do so mindlessly. So, you open your phone and sometimes you don't even know what time it is, but you were just staring at that screen. And so that's another way to reprogram your unconscious mind. And I've created different affirmations based on the different areas of goals people have, whether it's spirituality, partnerships, friends and family, career, general abundance, money, things like that. So whatever your most prominent goal is, there's an affirmation there for you. And think about having something come into your subconscious 244 times per day to help reprogram your unconscious mind. It's just I'm very much for those easy button solutions. And this is a really easy button way to help yourself.
Brilliant. I think I'm going to go and download those myself. So I'll pop that link in the show notes. And Devin, thank you again for being with me today. This has been really great.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emma. This was such a fun conversation.
Thanks for listening, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please share with your friends and be sure to leave me a 5-star rating and review, especially if you're listening on fine, Apple Podcasts. To find out more about my one-on-one coaching, please visit my website, which is emmaobriencoach.com. And remember, folks, when life gives you lemons, you can always choose another fruit. See you next time.